It's a little bit early because there's a posting for the CCPD at 6:50 p.m. We're going to start the CCPD meeting, we'll take a short pause, and then start the next meeting. City Secretary, is there a quorum present?
Yes, sir.
I have citizen comments. From I can tell, all of these are for the City Council meeting. Is anyone interested in speaking at the Crime Control Prevention District? Okay. We'll move on to item C, consider the approval of minutes. The Crime Control Prevention District meeting held July 21st, 2025. Board Secretary Courtney Rutherford.
These are just the minutes from our last meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Motion passes. Moving on to item D of the CCPD meeting, discussion and consideration of resolution 2026-01, a budget amendment for crime control prevention funds. Finance Director Jennifer Brown.
This budget amendment is for the HVAC replacement that you all approved in the fiscal year 2025 budget. And this resolution is just reestablishing the appropriation in fiscal year 2026, which is when the equipment was installed. We already did the ordinance amending the budget on the City Council side. Just wanted to clean things up with a resolution on the district side, just so we have everything documented.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2026-01.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Motion passes. Moving on to item E, discussion and consideration resolution 2026-02 for a budget amendment. Finance Director Jennifer Brown.
I am actually going to defer to the police chief on this. I'm not sure why my name got listed here.
No problem. Police Chief, about the RMS, CAD RMS.
Good evening, CCP Board President and board members. The Jersey Villas Police Department is requesting a budget amendment to fund the implementation of a new CAD, a computer-aided dispatch and records management system, also known as a CAD and RMS. These systems serve as the operational backbone of the department. They support dispatch operations, report writing, investigations, and overall data management. Every call for service and every report generated run through these systems. During a recent department-wide SWOT analysis, multiple concerns were identified regarding the efficiency, reliability, and functionality of our current CAD and RMS system. Personnel across all levels of the organization reported operational challenges that impact daily performance and efficiency. Some of the key issues identified included duplicate data entry due to lack of integration between the system, report inefficiencies and reoccurring NIBRS errors, limited mapping capabilities that do not extend beyond a 10-mile radius, system update complications, unsupported hardware, and ongoing customer service challenges that require significant time coordinating with the vendor and technical support. These issues have resulted in reduced operational efficiency and increased administrative burden on personnel. In some cases, members of command staff have had to dedicate a substantial portion of their workday addressing system-related issues. In response, the department formed a CAD and RMS evaluation committee consisting of personnel from all divisions within the agency. The committee conducted a comprehensive review process, which included evaluating multiple vendors, gathering feedback from frontline users, and consulting with peer agencies. As part of the process, the committee members also visited agencies currently utilizing Mark 43 system to observe it in real time and conduct a first-hand evaluation of its operational effectiveness. Based on this evaluation, the committee has identified Mark 43 as a CAD and RMS platform to transition to as it best meets the operational needs of the department and enhances overall efficiency. From a financials perspective, the department's current system carries an annual maintenance cost of approximately $165,000 a year. While the proposed system includes higher upfront costs in the first year due to implementation, training, and data conversion, the long-term cost structure results in a projected savings of approximately $244,000 over a 5-year period. Implementation of a new CAD and RMS system is a complex process that typically requires a 6 to 9 month build time and transition period. During this time, the department will maintain the current system to ensure continuity of operations and proper validation of data migration. This results in a one-time overlap of the system's cost during the implementation year. The department is requesting a budget amendment in the amount of $247,969 from the Crime Control Prevention District Fund for fiscal year 2025-2026 to support this implementation. This amount represents This amount represents the first year cost of the system, which includes implementation, data conversion, training, and first year of service. Following the implementation, the ongoing annual cost of the new system will be significantly lower than the current system, resulting in long-term financial savings to the city. Also here tonight is Steve and Shelby with Mark 33 if there are any product or technical questions, and I'm happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
All right, to summarize for everybody, we are moving some money from CCPD. We are not here in this agenda item discussing the product. If we approve this item, we're going to have a whole nother discussion later on about CAD RMS and signing the contract and discussing the particulars of the system. And if we approve this, we can easily reverse it should that conversation not go in the future. So does anybody have any comments about the budget transfer or a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2026-0.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Motion passes. That is the end of the Crime Control Prevention District meeting. The next meeting will start at 7 o'clock. Adjourned. If you would like to talk before council, sign a citizen comment form in the back and bring that up to the city secretary.
Hello.
Okay, it's 7:04. Sorry for the technical difficulties, but we are going to get started. Madam City Secretary, the quorum present.
Yes, sir.
And then first up, we have the invocation and pledge of allegiance by Curtis Haverty.
First will be our invocation. Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Guide our hearts and our minds in the spirit of fairness, right thought, and speech. Impart your supreme wisdom upon our activities so that our affairs may reach a successful conclusion. Thank you for being our source of guidance today. Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And then I'm going to call out of order presentations and move into the presentation C2, presentation of this Police Department Employee of the 2026 First Quarter Award, Curtis Haverty.
I am standing in for our commander, Stephanie Otto, who is traveling out of town. She asked me to take on this most honorable task, and it is my great honor to do so. And it is the support for these fine gentlemen here in blue. The veterans support them as much as we can. Each quarter, the American Legion Post 324 Police Department Employee of the Quarter Selection Committee meet to review candidates selected by their peers. This is in no way a simple task, as all of the employees who were submitted are outstanding individuals that serve a purpose far greater than themselves. For the first quarter of 2026, the American Legion's selection for Officer of the Quarter is Officer Sigfredo Mora Garcia. Officer Mora Garcia has demonstrated the highest level of professionalism, dedication, and productivity. He loves his job, and his work performance shows it. We thank you for your service and dedication to this department and our community. All of these attributes work together to ensure the Jersey Village Police Department provides our citizens exceptional safety and peace of mind and makes Jersey Village a destination community. There were several other outstanding officers nominated this quarter, including Officer Ortiz, Officer Anderson, and Officer Wozniacek. We thank you all for your outstanding performance and high dedication to our community.
Thank you, American Legion, and congratulations to the officer. Next, we are going to call a flag presentation from Peyton Archie, representing Congressman Wesley Hunt.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and friends of Jersey Village. It is a great honor to be here with you today on behalf of Congressman Wesley Hunt, who represents the city of Jersey Village in United States Congress. Today we celebrate the 70th anniversary of the founding of the city of Jersey Village, a community built on hard work, dedication, and commitment. Over the last 3.5 years, Congressman Hunt has worked tirelessly with the city of Jersey Village to bring millions of federal dollars back to our community for water and sewer upgrades, regional infrastructure projects, and has been a strong advocate for flood mitigation so that we as a community can invest in a future that serves the next generation. It is an honor to stand before you today to celebrate the City of Jersey Village and the community that we love and know by presenting this flag flown over the United States Capitol in recognition of the 70th anniversary of the city to the City Council. Honoring the Founders Day of the City of Jersey Village, the accompanied flag was flown over the Capitol in recognition of the 70th anniversary of Founders Day and is hereby presented to the Jersey Village City Council in honor of the city's rich history and to celebrate the growth, progress, and sense of community that define the City of Jersey Village today.
Thank you very much, Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next, we're going to move on to citizen comments. Any citizen who has signed a card and wishes to speak to City Council will be heard this time in compliance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. Unless there's a subject matter of the comment that is on the agenda, city staff and council members are prevented from discussing the subject and may respond only with statements of factual information or existing policy. Citizens are limited to 5 minutes for their comments to council. The first comment is Jim Fields.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Thank you again for allowing me to contribute to tonight's meeting. My name is Jim Fields, 16413 St. Helier. And one thing we'll give the kudos here. Thank you, Mayor, for confirming the city's not a sanctuary city. That was good to hear because as I spoke to a couple of police officers, they didn't know. So I hope we can get that information down to the police department. And also, thank you, Mayor, for holding a town hall meeting on the proposed changes in the ordinances or codes. Thank you, Councilman Hughes, for finding the error in the ordinance change proposal, which means that it is good to have fresh eyes looking at these ordinances. I know we have other people who have been looking at them for years, but thank you again, sir. I don't think anybody else would have found it. That was excellent. Thank you, City Secretary, for the scanner. She told me City Council did that, but I don't know who actually bought one. It's fantastic. We're talking about a scanner for the electronic ballots, not the paper and pencil ones. And they bought both machines, and I think that was an excellent investment, and thank you so much. And also I want to thank City Secretary Rutherford for her technical expertise in helping me get through the electronic ballot machine. And then I want to thank City Manager Blease for removing the street pole in the middle of an ADA ramp. I don't know how that happened, and I'm glad you removed it. Infrastructure, a street light is on 24 hours on Pleasant Colony for 1 month. Construction on the entrance walking bridge Ecuador is poor. The sand is beginning to wash away, as I had predicted. Street sign missing at Pheasant Colony and Steepleway Drive, going on for 2 months. Missing barrier sign is a bridge barrier sign, and no parking on this side, missing on Castle Bridge for 4 months. Street collapsing between Sam's and Park and Ride 1 year plus. There looks like it was an attempt to do it, but you need a lot more asphalt than what they put down. Street markings need repairing, lane dividers, walkways. If you go all where the zebra stripes are, walkways, you can't even see them anymore. There's still a terrible stench at the sewage plant on Philippine. So bad you can't even roll your windows down. The large oak trees, and I brought this up before, large oak trees on the west side of Jones Road, south Steepleway, didn't be cut or removed because large branches falling off the trees by trucks. And I suggest contacting the City Department complex to get that rectified. Concerns I saw, we just had Congo, reconstructed, and lo and behold, we have the wrong street poles there, street light poles. Should be the black ones. We have the older style that we're trying to replace. Hopefully we get credit for those and save some money putting the right ones in. And then again, placing a speed marquee 40 feet in front of a stop sign on Senate is absolutely useless. I brought this up last time. What should be done is move it back at least 100 feet if you're really concerned about the speed going on Senate. And other recommendations, one, the police department, we are not a sanctuary city. And Mayor, we need you to follow up on the incident I reported of people being dropped off at Whataburger in a police cruiser. And I've got the email here to give to the city secretary for record. Lower sewer billing costs. We need to return water averaging instead of water used monthly when calculating our sewer costs. In the past, it used to be 3 to 4 months. During the winter months, that was the average usage we're going to use to go into the equation for our sewer. Mayor, I have some questions here, if I may ask. When and which areas will the sewer water lines be replaced? I asked that before. Has there been any progress on that?
Sorry, can you repeat your question?
Yes, sir. When and which areas will the sewer and water lines be replaced? Because I was thinking the oldest part of the city is on Jersey Drive.
That is all posted on the website and far too comprehensive to go into right here.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you had the answer. What is the source of, I asked for this again, what is the source of water for irrigation on the golf course? I asked this 2 months ago, and you said to get back with me. I haven't heard anything. I don't know if the city manager is busy or... This
Statement of fact, I believe we answered his public information request already at least once.
Oh, yes, you said it's coming from the ponds.
Is
that true?
Jim, you wanted me to follow up on this Whataburger incident. Can you explain what that was?
Okay. It was just sitting at Whataburger, and one day, well, I have one more question. We'll pass this other one.
Jim, your time's up, and I don't understand this Whataburger.
Don't get some time back from him talking? Do you get any time back? No?
No, that took 5 seconds. I don't understand this Whataburger, why you want this investigated.
Well, I just said, it took a while on the email chain to find out if we're a sanctuary city or not. I just noticed, and just asking the question was, I noticed that the police cruisers were coming by at Whataburger and dropping off some people. That's all. I was just wondering if we were a sanctuary city because Houston was, Austin, Houston was. Now it's changed. Austin is, Dallas is, and they're finding other cities are sanctuary cities, even though it's against state law. That's what I was asking, sir.
So your question about sanctuary cities connected to the police department dropping 2 people off in a parking lot?
Well, yeah, but it happened multiple times.
Okay.
You told me
Jim, there's been repeated comments. We went back and forth on this in email. And it is not only this item, it is a pattern. We had a meeting not long ago where we were talking about the floor plan of the admin building we're building. And in that meeting, you stated that we didn't need a lactation room and that those people belonged at home. And when it said that they would nurse for 2 years, you said they should be there. It was in a meeting.
Exact words, but what's that got to do with
so I had to put some things to thought, and I've got some thoughts I've written down. Jersey Village is a community. Community means everyone. It means the family that moved here last week and the single person that's been here for 40 years. It's the business owner that opened her doors for the first time and the retiree planning his remaining years here. The young couple with the newborn and everybody in between. I've heard questions and comments in recent weeks and months that I find them concerning. These questions and statements carry assumptions that people, based on how they look and where they came from or what they might believe. And I want to say very plainly, the city stands for and where I stand. Jersey Village does not treat people differently based on their race, gender, income, age, or appearance. Our police officers serve this community with professionalism. They do not make assumptions about people they encounter, and I will not make assumptions about the people they help. Let me be clear, our police enforce the law. There are laws about immigration. When someone breaks those laws, consequences should apply. I agree with all of that. What's in front of us tonight is very different. It is a habit of making assumptions about people without facts based on the way they look or where we imagine they came from. A person is not a crime. A skin color is not a status. Until a law is broken and until facts are established, we will continue to treat neighbors as neighbors and visitors as visitors. I was raised to treat people with dignity, and it is not a policy position, it's a statement of principle, and it's in how I intend to serve. Thank you, Jim.
The police did not know this was a sanctuary city. That's the point. I have no idea what you're talking about, race. You're the one that brought that up.
Andy Hunziker.
Thank you, Mayor, for allowing me to follow him. I can see fire in the eyes of everybody, so let's. What I'm here to talk about, of course, is the.
Andy?
My name?
Do you mind moving that mic a little bit? Point it towards you. Thank you.
Okay.
Just want to make sure we can hear you.
Maybe I don't want you to hear me, but that's okay. I'm here about the 2024 International Property Maintenance Code that everybody's talking about. And the first thing I'd ask is how many people, and you don't have to raise your hands, how many people have bought the code? Not read it, just bought the code. How many people know that the code, from what I understand, is a liability situation, not a criminal situation. And as you may or may not know, anybody can go down on Walker Street and go through a little class, and they will give you a ticket book where you can go out and write tickets for people that are parked in a handicap slot that do not have a handicap placard showing. Now, that's in Houston. I don't think we have it here in Jersey Village. But you can do that. It's a civil thing. You don't have to be a commissioned officer with any experience like that. And this code is also the same way. It's a civil thing. In the code, there are some things, I don't know if you know or not, I don't know what the code is right now for the fascia of your house, but in the 2024, which we're talking about adopting, there's a stricter fascia inspection. Let me back up a minute. If you get the code book, if you get the book and the code, you know there's some classes you can take, and if you pass the class, you can become an inspector. You don't have to work for the city of Jersey Village, you don't have to work for Harris County, you don't have to work for anybody. But you become an inspector, and you can, just like the people that can write citations for parking in a handicap zone without a placard, you can write a ticket. So if my neighbor down the street has a different philosophy than I do and doesn't like me and goes through, gets a book, goes through the class, etc., he can come down and write a ticket on me, and I presume put it in this court. Roof maintenance got a makeover. There's a new requirement on the roof. Window and door regulations are tightened. All exterior doors to have a minimum insulation R value of 5. So if your exterior doors don't have an R value of 5, you can be in violation. And I can come by, if I did this, enhanced weather stripping standards, more than what we have now, sealing around windows and doors, proactive exterior audits, These are things that are going to be in that ordinance. Of course, they have fire safety, takes a center stage, plumbing, electrical systems. You can get a I'm not that well organized. But if you get the PMC deal and also get the one on plumbing and get one on electrical, you can be an inspector for that, and you can go to a house or a business and write, I guess, I don't know what it's called, a citation or not, but you can write a situation where the person would have to come to court. And as you know, the fines are up to $500 according to this. The city might make the fines $1,000. They may make them $2. I don't know. But I think I don't like this particular code to be adopted as it is. If you want to make corrections to your city ordinances, that's fine. But I don't want any part of this 24 IPMC, whatever it is. I hear my bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy.
Thank you.
Tommy, there's a great program in the city of Houston because they have short staff, and so they have a handicap program. If this code is adopted, is there any way that someone not employed by the city can take action other than just reporting it to the city?
No. Someone could possibly file a general complaint in municipal court, but then of course that's not enforcement through the city.
Rachel Price.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and council members. Thank you for your time and for your service to our community. My name is Rachel Price Settlemeyer. I live at 8114 Argentina Street. I appreciate the thoughtful consideration that you're giving to adopting the 2024 IPMC. And with this, I still have concerns as a resident. And I did see on the agenda this evening that apparently more amendments have been made to it, specifically for adoption in Jersey Village. I was unaware of that coming into the meeting tonight, so I want to be really honest and upfront about that. I would love to be able to review those. I think that there are many things that we could benefit from in the IPMC. I think much of the concern on my part and fellow residents' part is more about the things that we're being told we shouldn't worry about. Those won't impact us. They won't have an effect. And I'm not sure what's in place to stop those things from happening or to keep us safe as residents from those things. There was a comment about our current standards being more antiquated, outdated, that I saw come from, I believe it was you, Mr. Mayor, on Facebook. And I had wondered about the possibility of some middle-grounded approach of possibly updating the old antiquated terminology and standards, using things from the IPMC in order to be able to enforce the things that need to be enforced. But in such a way that, as opposed to possibly adopting the entirety of the document, that might be considered to better represent the needs and the values and the community here. So that would be something that I would ask for consideration to be put into. Now, seeing tonight in the agenda for this evening, it seems that more work has been done on that than I caught. So I want to apologize for that piece and honor that. So many of us value both our safety and a strong sense of personal property rights here. And with that in mind, I'm wondering how we ensure that things are handled fairly, and wondering what are the effects upon not only residents but the city, as far as I know it's been spoken of bringing that money from any fines into the general fund. And at the same time, do we have the capacity to have someone do that here? Are we going to need to bring on more staff, increase the budget for those things? It's possible the fines could provide for that budget, certainly, and at the same time, want to be thoughtful about not making it a needed thing to meet in order to pay for potentially someone to handle all of those things over time. I just wanted to, possibly suggest just a little bit. There's a local amendment process taking place. I appreciate that. Thank you. But also wondering about the potential of a pilot program or a phased out, rolling out type program. Time for residents to be able to become educated and understand what the real effects of this are, because it is such a long document. And also curious about clear objective standards on what certain codes mean, because there is so much space for interpretation. And wondered about if there might be the consideration of warnings before fines or possibly liens are put in place. And then, is there space to consider a citizen board to also review these things? I know that would certainly require volunteers, and that's something that I would be open to, certainly. Thank you for listening to me, and sorry for the shaky voice. It's been a while since I've spoken publicly, but thank you so very much.
You did fantastic. So the BBOC, there are amendments that we made. I actually expect more amendments during the meeting to be made, so what you read in the packet. You can find those online on the website. We get like an 800-page document every meeting. You can find that on the website. It's inside there, but it's 800 pages. But it's bullet pointed, so you'll be able to find it there. And before any code gets here, there is a citizen board that reviews it. It does take volunteers. We would love to have you volunteer on that board. You can apply. We would love to place you somewhere if you're going to come up here and stand, so please do. The rest of it, unless somebody has any comment, I expect more conversation on the agenda item.
Thank you so much.
Robert Kubala.
Thanks for the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm Robert Kubala, 16001 Lakeview Drive. I've been here 13 years. I am of the opinion that City Council should delay the vote tonight regarding IPMC. Show of hands of those that read it in its entirety. Good. In its entirety? I have a hearing loss, so I'm not sure, but the raise of hands tells me y'all done it. Okay. So I'm going to stop this long speech and go down to 2 councilmen are out. 2 councilmen will be in within a month. Why the rush? Why the rush to go ahead and vote tonight? So I'm going to say delay the vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Robert. Frank Marr.
Frank Marr, 16514 St. Helier. I wanted to talk about our new bridge. How many of y'all have looked at the new bridge and checked it out? Do you see anything that we could do better on it? How many of y'all back here know where the name of the City of Jersey Village is on that bridge? It's welded in signs at the top of the bridge that needs to be painted to stick out. It's all in rust and letters about this big. I know for a fact when you're facing the bridge out towards Philippines that I can see the letters there. I have not looked to the left. But I would like to see City Council, it's probably not a cheap project, but you're getting ready to go into the budget. I would like you to review it and see if that was in the specs to be painted or stick out. And if it wasn't, can it be put in this year's budget to get it painted? Because unless you're looking for it, if you're out there walking the bio, riding your bike or exercising, you're not seeing it. And I think I could speak for a large majority of people here, the board included. We're proud to say we're from Jersey Village, and we ought to have the sign painted so you can see it. Thank you.
Thanks for the pride, Frank. I will add, Chief, it was painting the bridge was not in the scope. So nothing didn't happen that we paid for. There was a lengthy discussion at another council meeting, but we can visit and talk to you, and we can definitely look at it. Michael Trigian.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council, and fellow residents. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Michael Trigian. I live at 8325 at Gill Street. I want to be clear about why I'm here. I'm not asking for the council to vote no tonight on the IPMC. I believe the community needs maintenance standards. At last month's council meeting, the mayor made assurances how this code would be enforced. After that ordinance was tabled, he held a town hall to explain to residents the impact of adopting the IPMC and repeated those same assurances. It was there that Council Member Simon Hughes challenged the mayor, not on the enforcement philosophy, but on the level of enforcement authority the ordinance actually grants the code official and the city manager. That authority is written into the document. Based on that challenge, the mayor committed in front of residents to investigating those questions and reporting back. I never heard or saw any posts from you regarding that. Tonight, without a single issue resolved, the mayor has placed this ordinance back on the agenda. The residents who were promised answers are still waiting. Nothing has changed except the date. First, the ordinance tells us exactly who controls enforcement. Section 103.1 states the enforcement shall be under the administrative and operational control of the code or building official. In Jersey Village, that official reports directly to the city manager, not to the mayor and not to the city council, to the city manager. Every enforcement decision will be made under the authority of the city manager's office. Mayor Singleton, you can't promise how this code will be enforced because the ordinance does not give you that authority. Second, the BBOAA review was stated as the basis for two council members supporting the adoption at the last meeting. Council members Mitchum and McCree stated they were comfortable voting yes because of the BBOAA had reviewed and recommended the ordinance. The very next day, the BBOAA members, some of them stated publicly they were never given a full copy of the 2024 IPMC to review. In fact, they met only once for 27 minutes without the full code and without a lawyer there to explain the consequence of this adoption. The foundation council members Mitchum and McCree relied upon did not exist then and does not exist today. Third, the IPMC applies identical standards to private residences and commercial buildings, subjecting homeowners to the same regulatory framework as an apartment complex or an office building. Under Section 102.1, where Jersey Village currently has no standards, the IPMC fills that void immediately and silently. Chapters 3 through 8, unchanged by this ordinance, establishes enforceable standards for a variety of things, including interior lighting, heating, plumbing, sanitation, etc. That's the city gaining authority over the inside of your home. Fourth, if enforcement will be measured and not used to intrude on law-abiding homeowners, write it into the ordinance. Codify what the mayor promised, making it binding on this administration and everyone that follows. If those promises are genuine, put them in the document. It costs nothing. Do not vote no. My request is simple. The council should not pass an ordinance whose consequences for homeowners are not yet fully understood. Vote to postpone adoption pending a proper review. Send the ordinance back to the BBOAA with a full copy of the 2024 IPMC, proper legal advice, and a directive to engage residents before returning with a recommendation. Fulfill the commitment the mayor made. Then bring the ordinance back that says what it means and means what it says. Jersey Village residents deserve that. Thank you.
Mayor, if I may, as a statement of fact, it's council members Martin and McCray.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike O'Kelly.
Good evening, Mayor and Council and Jersey Village residents. My name is Mike O'Kelly. I'm chairman of the Building Board of Adjustments here in Jersey Village. I've been chairman of that body for 30 years. There are 2 additional members of our board that have been on this board for 30 years. We've got 3 additional members that have been on in varying amounts. Not only that, but 3 of us have over 40 years living here in Jersey Village. I'm at 16222 Tahoe, in case anyone wants to know. Anyway, I received a phone call from one of the council members very shortly after our BBOA recommended approval to pass on to council our thoughts on this ordinance. That phone call basically came in. One of the first things said is, "Did you even read the whole ordinance?" While being somewhat insulted, I just answered, "Yes, I did." And anyone that's in our position knows that, to make a 50, 60-page copy of something that I can get on the internet, which we were told we could, I can guarantee you that there were certainly enough of us, if not every one, that read every bit of it. We have more integrity than to just rubber stamp things. We had full discussion. We also spent time with city staff going over questions of how this might work, how it might help them in their quest to do a better job in helping us enforce a lot of these things. I've been here a long time, and I know what Jersey Village was, and I know what it is now, and it's obviously a great place to live. But things have changed as far as the way people take care of their properties. Things have changed with their ideas of what's right and what's wrong and this and that and the other. And so this particular International Property Maintenance Code solidifies a lot of things that are in different parts of our ordinances across the city, and it puts it all in one place. And as far as people thinking that we can go in your house and, write you up for things that are going on inside of your house and even in the backyard, which I have several instances of stuff going on in backyards that probably should definitely need attention. But this code doesn't even allow that. If it's not seen from the street, then it's not in question. So the main reason for me coming here tonight, more than anything else, was that in essence, the rumor may be out that we didn't read the ordinance, we didn't care to read the ordinance, we just rubber stamped it and sent it on. And I want to make sure that every council member here knows, including the one that called me, he does know now, that we did our duty, we did our due diligence, and in good faith we passed on the recommendation to council to vote yes to this deal. Now, we can pass the buck and turn it over to new council members coming and so forth, but you know what? It'd be a great way to go out. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your service, Mike. Ashley Brown.
Ashley Brown, Ashley Brown, 15602 Lakeview. I forgot to email you, Chief, last month, so I want to say it now before I forget. About a month ago, my 3-year-old couldn't breathe. Texas Children's had failed us 3 different ER visits, but I can't remember the name of the 2 guys. But they came, they helped her, and she hasn't had to go to the ER since, and I meant to email you, but I forgot. Anyways, over the last few weeks, I've spent a lot of time writing a speech that turned out to be 15 minutes long. And then I spent a lot of time whittling it down to this 800-word document that has no feeling in it. And so I thought Austin deserved more than a no-feeling document to express what he's done for the city. So I'm just going to kind of go from my heart. I did a lot of public information requests that Drew kind of stole my thunder on and put it on the council meeting. Courtney and I talked on the phone. Austin and I emailed back and forth. And I don't know if everybody knows how to find the information for Austin's salary, but not just Austin's salary compared to his peers. And the math, because I know a lot of people here say you want to be judicious with our money, the math says Austin in his 8 years has been paid $381,000 more than the average. And alarm bells go off. That's a lot of money, no kidding. But what have we got for that $381,000? So I started with Courtney. What were our grants before Austin sat in the seat? She sent me 2 for less than $109,000. Austin is at $32 million, a little over $32 million. He has been paid roughly $1.6 million in the 8 years. And that's also a lot of money. No joke, a lot of money. But as a business person, you should look at your return on investment. And maybe lawyers don't fully understand return on investment, but return on investment means what we get back for the money we put out. And for every dollar we have paid Austin, the city of Jersey Village and its citizens have received $20 in return. But now let's look at just that $381,000 that he was paid over. If you look at just the $381,000 he was paid over, that is $83.85 per dollar he was paid over. Austin doesn't have to work here. He can go anywhere in the state. We are lucky that he knows how to write grants, but more, we're lucky that he's a good leader. Austin sent me the employee surveys from when he started compared to now. The retention, the voluntary leave significantly dropped. My husband worked for Castro. My husband worked for Austin. And I know a lot of things, especially at the golf course, that were inefficient. But one thing my husband never came home and said was Austin was a bad leader. Austin contributes more to this city than probably anybody else. And chasing him away is the worst thing anybody on the dais can do. I did an email request asking for how many emails are sent to Austin in the last 12 months. If you send 1,260 emails over the last 12 months and it takes 5 minutes per email to respond, that is 105 hours worth of work. And I've seen several of those emails. It was more than 5 minutes to respond. And I'm not saying council doesn't have the right and the privilege to ask for those due diligences. That is not my argument, because if I ever get lucky enough to sit up there, I will also ask. But I'm asking that everybody up on that dais think about that email you're sending. And are you really contributing to our city by chasing away the one person who actually brings money in at a significant rate where other cities want him to go to? Or are you just pandering to a crowd of people who don't completely understand every detail that's happening? I love Jersey Village. I know there are problems with it. I really do. I know there are questions that need to be asked, and you should ask them. Micromanaging how he writes grants is an insult to him. It is a skill people in college strive to learn. I'm an author. I'm a writer. I wish I could write grants. I'm a best-selling author, but I can't write grants. That alone should tell you we are lucky to have a man here who cares enough to put up with the BS. Because it's not right that we abuse him. And so I want to say thank you.
Curtis Haverty.
Thank you so much for saying that, Ashley.
I'm Curtis Haverty. I live at 15405 Ashburton. I've lived here for 36 years, and I have sat on that side of the dais like you have. Good evening, Mayor, council members, and city staff. Thanks for the opportunity to speak tonight. I want to talk about something foundational to the success of any city manager form of government: the importance of city council staying focused on strategy and the city manager being empowered to handle the operations. The council's role is strategic. You set the vision, the priorities, and the long-term direction of our community. You define what we aim to accomplish. These are big picture decisions that shape the future of our city. The city manager's role: the manager and staff determine how to accomplish the goals you set. He manages resources and runs the day-to-day operations that keep the city functioning smoothly. The work is grounded in professional administration, not political decision-making. A helpful way to picture this is through a football analogy. The city council is like the team owner. The owners set the vision, define the culture, and decide the direction they want the organization to go. They don't call the plays. They don't run practice. They don't manage the locker room. They don't seek the coach's special notes or trade secrets. That's the job of the head coach, and in our system, the city manager is that coach, and what a fine job he has done. The coach takes the owner's vision and turns it into a game plan. The owners stay in their lane, and the coaches stay in theirs, and the team wins. When they don't, confusion sets in, players get mixed signals, and the organization struggles. The same as city and true government. When the lines blur, problems arise. When a council member steps into operational matters, speaks directly to staff or citizens committees, demands special rules or tactical business practices, it creates confusion. It undermines the authority of the city manager. But good government requires discipline. It requires each elected official to operate within the role the system assigns. Not because of hierarchy, but because that structure protects fairness, professionalism, and accountability. And the truth is, when one member steps outside that structure, the city employees become demoralized. It's harder for the city manager to maintain constant operations, harder for the council to speak with just one voice, and ultimately harder for the community to receive the stable, high-quality service it deserves. My encouragement tonight is simple. Council should lead strategically and as the owner sets the vision, let the city manager lead operationally, like a coach executing the game plan. When we honor these boundaries, our city becomes stronger, more resilient, and better prepared for the challenge ahead. And that is something every resident can appreciate. Thank you very much for your time.
Bobby Warren.
How's it going? Well, I miss you guys. I will say, after hearing from everyone here, I don't know that I miss being up there so much. So kudos to all of you for still being there. My main reason for being here tonight, I did not come to speak about the IPMC. So hopefully that takes a little bit of the edge off. I will say I came here because I know that this is the last public comment before two members of this council that I served with will be done with their public service. And so I, first and foremost, wanted to come up here to thank Councilmember McCray, who I think I once referred to as Councilmember Snacks, as she ate a bag of candy immediately before I called on her for public comment. So, Councilmember Snacks, congratulations. Thank you for your service to the city, and thank you for the comedic relief you often provided. And Councilmember Wasson, who I have told him a number of times before he should run for mayor. Not anytime soon. I think Mayor Singleton's doing a fine job, but
he'd be better.
I think Councilmember Wasson is a low-key benefit to this council in terms of his approach to issues, in terms of his thoughtfulness, and it was a privilege to serve a number of years with you. I appreciate everything you've done for the city. I'll be honest, that literally was the only reason that I came to the meeting, but I will say, hearing from everyone here, I do think it's worth kind of revisiting a little theme from my farewell speech when about a year ago. I know it's probably easy to forget because you'll probably heard way too much from me up until that point, and you were just like, can this guy please leave? But one of the things I really emphasize, and I still absolutely believe about the way council operates, is the importance of teamwork. Because no one member actually does anything on council. Everything that happens on council relies on 3 votes. That's literally what this council is built around. You have to have 3 people who say, I agree with that, and then it happens. And it happens not in the name of those 3 people. It happens in the name of the city of Jersey Village. It happens in the name of all of these people back here, all of the people in this city. And so it is extraordinarily important for members of council to never forget that they are not there to act for themselves, for their interests, for a particular group of people. They're there to act for the citizens of the city, and they only can act when they gain the support of fellow members of council. And so that teamwork is not just a cliche. That teamwork is literally the foundation on which this city is built. It lays the very groundwork for which the city charter was designed. And it's extraordinarily important for city council to not forget its role, which is as a policy-setting body. It is here to set policy. It is here to work together in order to set that policy. And that it is here to hire the people who carry out that policy and let them do their jobs. This city council is not here to do the jobs for those people. It is not here to direct the people who the city manager or any of the other people who city council hires, which is a very small set of people. But those people hire people in order to set forth the actual execution of the things that this city council has directed, but then that's it. They have to let it happen. And so I want to encourage y'all to have a renewed faith in the citizens of this city who passed that charter, who set that out as the rules. As I always tell people, when you get on the council, you open up the rules, you don't get to write them, you just get to follow them. Thank you.
And we end every meeting with Kimberly Hanau.
My name is Kimberly Hanau, and I live at 15601 Singapore Lane. As my 55th installment on Jersey Village, the Jersey Village Volunteer Fire Department began 3 years before the city was incorporated into its own municipality. The last few years, it is staffed with paid heroes, which is why extending the Fire Control, Prevention, and EMS District by 20 years and continuing its sales tax revenue for the same period of time is so important to this election cycle. Located at 16503 Jersey Drive, the office hours are Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., while open 24/7 for emergency calls. So while you are sleeping, they are ready and waiting. During the October 16th, 2006 City Council meeting, Fire Chief Kathy Hutchins introduced Mark Bitts as the Assistant Director of Emergency Services. At the January 15th, 2007 meeting, City Manager Mike Castro announced that Chief Hutchins was resigning, with Bitts named as the new fire chief and later tasked as Emergency Management Coordinator. During this January meeting, Mayor Heathcott acknowledged that Jersey Village is one of the greatest places to live because of the Jersey Village Emergency Services and Police Department. He also thanked all of the staff for all that they do for the city. The Jersey Village Fire Department is a career department operating from a centrally located station as an all-hazards response organization. JVFD is equipped and trained to handle building fires, technical rescues, hazardous material incidents, flood and swift water rescues, and a wide range of other emergencies. The department also operates a mobile intensive care unit, MICU, ambulances, and provides advanced life support services to the community. Full-time personnel staff an engine company in the MICU ambulance with an aerial tower, and second MICU cross staffed by the engine company. Daily staffing consists of a captain, driver, operator, and 4 firefighters. In addition to emergency response, the department is committed to community risk reduction through the fire inspections, fire prevention activities, community outreach, and public education events. The Jersey Village Fire Marshal's Office coordinates and conducts these programs through 3 full-time positions, and fire investigation duties are supplemented by a team of full-time and part-time arson investigators. The Jersey Village Fire Department is united by a commitment to protect and serve, strengthen our community. Every member of our organization, from firefighters and EMS professionals to administrative and support staff, works with dedication and pride to uphold the highest standards of safety, service, and professionalism. Guided by integrity, compassion, and a constant drive for excellence, we strive to make a meaningful and lasting impact on the lives of those that we are entrusted to protect. JVFD is an ISO Class 2 department where the ISO rating scale is based on factors that are proof of efficiency for firefighters, community risk reduction, including accessible water supply, such as the number of hydrants, response time and distance, pump testing, frequency of group meetings, exceptional training, and the quality of computer-aided CAD facilities. how many telecommunicators work at the communication center, and the quality and efficiency of the emergency reporting system, which contribute to benefits like lower home insurance rates. Firefighter Frank Bruno from Onquit, Maine, described, "It's more of a career than just a job. It's a lifestyle for us." As all Jersey Villagers should want our emergency services personnel to feel as passionately about their careers serving our city, and they should not fear that a lack of funding or support would move them elsewhere. Thank you.
That concludes citizen comments. Moving on to the city manager's report. Austin, please.
Mayor and councilors, the report is in front of you. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Wait, are we on city manager report? So, wanted to point out a couple things. So, thank you to Chief Bitts for reaching out and helping get the ball rolling on cleaning up Hempstead Road. It's great to see that the progress and the continued effort to keep it that way. Captain Sullivan and Cade Clark saved the city over $40,000 by installing equipment on the new truck. There were some recognitions also under the police department's report. Officer Mora, who's a JV high school graduate, wanted to thank you for your service here. Officer Ortiz, he was also recognized. I'm sorry, she. Did I get that right? She? Okay, sorry. Was also recognized. The city was also recognized. Before I get there, I did promise some people that I would ask about drainage on Solomon and Congo. There were quite a few people who had asked me some questions about that, and when I was looking over the Public Works report, which, by the way, I really encourage you guys to look at the Public Works report, it got me thinking about this, and so I made a note to ask about that. So is there any way we can get maybe, the difference between slow drainage, real flood risk of homes, that kind of thing, and what the city might be doing?
Yeah, so on Solomon Street, specifically with the rains that we received on April 12th, I believe it was, we received about 1.6 inches of water in 20-ish minutes, according to the gauge from flood control. To build a system that would handle that would be cost prohibitive, so it's going to back up into the streets and go over the curbs when we get heavy downpours. But we are investigating just to make sure that there's nothing blocking the drains or anything in the pipes or anything like that. But even with the new streets, you're still going to see some ponding when you get, or impassable roads when you get that level of rain. 1.6 inches in 25 minutes. That's a lot of rain. That can't go down pipes quick enough.
And you could see why somebody would be. I would be concerned if thinking all night long. What if this rain kept going? The real fear of my house flooding would set in, and so I think that's. So I appreciate the city looking into this and hopefully getting some answers for some residents over there, at least to give them a little bit of peace of mind. The city manager, Austin Blees, as most of you probably have seen, was recognized in the national. He was named a government champion in the National Local Government 250. I hope I'm saying this right. Is it Teresa Tevi was recognized as Employee of the Month? And the city was granted, major infrastructure grant. I'm sure most of you guys have read. We'll get 2 mobile generators for our lift stations. If you don't know what a lift station is, go look at what it is. It takes our wastewater and moves it up so it can go to the wastewater treatment plant. If that thing were to shut down, our sewage would be backed up. So it's very important to have something like that. I see these a lot on agendas. They're very expensive and they take a very long time to get. So I'm really grateful for that grant, for those two. And lastly, the Government Finance Officers Association recognized the city budget presentation and excellence in financial reporting. So I just wanted to point some of those things out. So there you go.
I just wanted to ask a clarifying question about if you look at the golf course report, I have it as page 91. It's a graphic. I just wanted to get clarification on. 91 or 1? It says 91 on mine. It says range, merchandise, and virtual metal month end versus year to date. And I was looking at 2025 and 26, and the way I read this, which doesn't mean it's correct, but the way I'm reading this, is it that the range fees year to date are almost double of what the collective of 2024, 2025 are? I just want to say, am I reading this correct? Yeah. So I just want to point out that, it's impressive, like beyond impressive of how well that is. I mean, it's just, if you look at this, it's bar graphs and it's all like this until you get to 25, 26, and it looks like it's double, at least in that one, in the range fees year to date. So it's impressive and it's nice to see. And I just wanted to point that out.
That is what happens when you hire the right people. And the team of the golf course is doing a fantastic job. I have one final question. It was nice to hear Kimberly talk about Chief Bitts, because I love Chief Bitts and really thankful he's there. And we have 2 very nice brand new fire trucks that have given me nearly a heart attack seeing them on the freeway. I noticed in the city manager's report, Blocker 101's in service, but there's a note about staffing, and that we just don't have the staffing, which I think is an actual problem over there. Is there any way to address that? Is that going to have to be something that we go to the next budget year? I don't think there's room in there right now.
We talked about staffing as part of our budget meetings last week that I have with the department heads, and I'm sure staffing will be talked about in May and then throughout the process.
Look forward to that in May. They're beautiful trucks. Any other?
Yeah, I want to make a comment just for the residents. For the agenda packet, the first 150 pages is all about, it's prepared by each department, city manager, director of finance, police department, fire department, etc., the public works, recs, golf course. There is a ton of information in there. 150 pages is a lot, but there's a lot of good information in there if you'll take the time and read it, because these department heads who put together this information, it's very detailed, it's very well presented. I was noticing as I went through it with the director of finance how not only she's provided the income and expenses year to date and budget percentages year over year, etc., but also has provided information on the investments that the city has made and the returns on the investments. The point being is that there's a wealth of information. It's not as dry as you might imagine. There's actually, with the graphics, etc., there's a lot of good information. So if you want to find out what the city is doing, this is a great source of information. And I compliment the department heads on the job that they've done.
Two things. Are we still on schedule with the release of the RFP for the swimming pool?
Yes, we've got a meeting with them tomorrow. But last week everything was still on track for May, June timeframe for that going out to bid.
Perfect, and that will be announced locally as well as published in the right places, so people can bid on that if they have an interest.
Yeah, we'll put it out online, Civcast or BidNet Direct. I'm not sure which one that they're going to recommend, but we'll advertise in the Chronicle and the Houston Business Journal. And I know residents have said that they know people that could build pools cheaply, and we'll make sure that those residents are aware so they can share that information as well.
Perfect. And speaking of water, there's one figure that I think bears repeating, and I think one of the citizens wrote about it on social media, is that streets, maybe not after 1.6 inches in 25 minutes, but streets are meant to hold water, and that's why we've tried to lower them a little bit when we go through and redo them. What is the number that before we have to, let's worry, for lack of a better term, is it about 2 inches per hour, and then after that, the excessive that rate?
Yeah, if it's raining harder than 2 inches an hour, that's when, on a staff level, we start to be concerned and make sure we're getting our things ready, and that's typically the general design criteria that we work for.
Thank you. And on that note, I'm not sure everyone is aware, Harris County has a flood warning system that's on the internet. They even have a gauge in Jersey Village, at Lakeview and White Oak Bayou. You can set that up. They also have one at 529 and 290. And so you can set that up. You can send an alert. I get an alert and a text message when that area receives an inch of rain in 30 minutes, right? So I know if I'm traveling, I'm not going to take a U-turn under 529 because I won't make it out. Or likely won't. So just so there's those set up, go bookmark it on your phone or on your home computer. Set up alerts on there just so you can be aware. And I can't say that it's completely accurate, but it's more accurate than most things, I guess, or for lack of a better term. So, thank you.
I think that's it for the city manager's report, and so we're moving to the consent agenda. Does anyone want to pull off one of the items on the consent agenda? All right, a motion for the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to pass the consent agenda.
And I'll second that.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Motion passes. Moving on to regular agenda item 1, discussion and consideration of resolution 2026-13, reviewing and accepting the 2025 annual comprehensive financial report.
With us this evening is Benjamin Cohen with Crow. That is our external auditor for the fiscal year. We are required as a city to publish a complete set of financial statements, and Mr. Cohen will go over the requirements and some required communications with you, as well as some highlights, and then we can answer any questions that you have.
Hello. Good evening. Again, I'm Benjamin Cohen with Crow, and I'd like to first thank you for allowing our firm to audit your city. This is your audit report as of September 30th, 2025. I got about 10 slides, and I'll briefly go over them, and then feel free to ask questions if you have any. First, I just want to talk about the auditor's responsibility. This is just a bullet point that goes over it. You can find this in more detail on pages 9 through 11, where we go over the audit opinion. But yeah, our responsibility is to provide opinion over the financial statements and also over the federal and state compliance, because y'all did have a single audit, which is a small little report that was issued in conjunction with the annual comprehensive financial report. And we do our audit, it's risk-based, and we do evaluate the internal controls. Again, this little small graph goes over just the phases of the audit. We start with our interim planning procedures. It starts back in October, goes through December, and then January we're full-fledged in the audit, and then around February and March is when we prep the report and issue it. And we issued the report, by the way, on March 27th. Those, if you're not aware, there was a statutory requirement that audits had to be issued within 180 days after year end, and it was a hard deadline, and so the city did meet that requirement, and so that was a huge deal. I know in the past years that requirement hasn't been met, and so that was met this year. This just goes over management's responsibility. I can't thank Jennifer enough. We don't make these numbers up. they're provided, the information provided. It's the responsibility of management to provide the financial statements or the information to go into the financial statements. It's their responsibility over the state and federal compliance, and they're ultimately responsible for the internal controls and establishing them and evaluating them too. So, just going over some new accounting standards. This year, the only one that was applied but did not have a material impact was GASB number 101 for compensated absences. It's just how you're recognizing the compensated absences. Your compensated absences here are not necessarily material to your financial statements, but it's just based off of more of an estimate of how much could potentially be used, not just how much is paid. It only added to the financial statements about $194,000 to the $1 million or so that is guaranteed to be paid upon termination, so roughly $1.2 million. The other standard is just based off of certain risk disclosures. It did not apply to your city. I just want to bring up that there were no correcting misstatements that were an audit adjustment. There were like adjustments that were prepared by the client, but no correcting misstatement as a result of the audit. Again, Jennifer did a good job of providing that information to us and going diligently going through the information and following up on when we do our interim planning and following up on those items to ensure that the information that was provided is good. So there was no audit adjustment. And then there were no uncorrected misstatements. So that's that one. These are just some other required communications that were required to disclose to you. There were no difficulties with that we encountered with management. There were no disagreements, no consultations with other accountants, and no significant adverse events that required attention that were not already brought up to council. So this first, I'm just going to go over the audit results. You can find this in a long paragraph form, written letter on pages 9 through 11 within the report. We've given the city an unmodified opinion. This is the highest level of assurance that we are allowed to give the city. We can't give grades. It's just unmodified, which just means your financial statements are free of material misstatements and reported based off of general accepted accounting principles. This next slide talks about the federal compliance and controls. We've also given the highest level of assurance there. This is the report that was issued in conjunction with the annual comprehensive financial report. And we tested flood mitigation grant. It made up about $2.6 million, and roughly about $3.9 million in federal dollars. So every year we have to select a major program, and that was a major program that we tested, and we noted no findings as a result of our testing of those. I'm just going to go over some financial highlights. Again, the city's doing well. This is just your statement of activities. Statement of net position. You can find these numbers on pages 7 and 9. You can also see this in a span of 10 years, starting on page 80. So 80, you can see this through a statistical analysis. The city sits at a strong net position. Your total assets was $178 million. Your total liabilities, $52 million. You did issue debt, but your total net assets also increased. So it's being used, obviously, for capital improvements and whatnot. This next little area just talks about the statistical section, which you can find starting on page 80. I find this section beneficial because it kind of shows you where the city was 10 years ago and where they're at now. And as you can see, you've grown since 2016. A lot of that is just natural inflation, but two, it's just growth and just infrastructure build out and whatnot. I just mentioned also your revenues increasing, and you can see that it's not all from property taxes and not all from one revenue source. So I just wanted to note that everything's moving in that direction, just moving up, which is good. This is just your governmental funds and your governmental activities, and this can be kind of found in detail on pages 18. On pages 25 through 28. You can see kind of more of a breakdown of this, but your ending fund balance for governmental funds is $45.4 million. Now, a lot of that is non-spendable and restricted, roughly about $36 million. And then you got about $9.4 million in assigned and unassigned fund balance. This is what we kind of call assigned and unassigned fund balance is kind of what we call flexible fund balance. It's at the discretion of management. Roughly about half of that is unassigned, and it can be used for general operations, or is assigned for basically unassigned for general operations, reserve for emergency and whatnot. And the rest of it is for future capital projects. I wrote down the expenditures. You had a lot of capital outlay this year for governmental activities or governmental funds, and of that $13.3 million, I think about $12 million of it or so was for capital outlay. And then, of course, your general fund expenditures that are not part of your capital outlay was roughly $16.7 million. And then you have other funds expenditures, which is mainly from restricted sources of $9.4 million. I just want to mention that out of that $16.7 million, $880,000 of it was related to non-reoccurring costs as a result of Jennifer's amazing due diligence on identifying and supporting the prior year court costs that were not identified or supported in previous years. So with that, I just want to note that there were no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies. I think you can remember in prior year report we had quite a few findings as a result of audits. Those were taken care of this year. And so you can actually find kind of the corrective action plan and how those were handled in the single audit if you'd like. And just to sum things up, city's financial statements are free and are reported fairly based off of general accepted accounting principles. There were no findings. Management and staff were prepared. As a result, we were able to issue by March 27th to meet that statutory deadline. And the city remains in a strong financial position with steady revenue growth and stable operations. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Can you, in layman's terms, explain what a material weakness is, please, in an audit?
Yes. It's whenever there are issues with internal controls that could result in an audit adjustment or misstatement of the financial statements. So basically, if you're not reconciling cash on a monthly basis, okay, so that's a material weakness because, well, cash could be off, your bank recs could be off. Or if you're not recording your capital outlay in the right accounts or your grant revenues in the correct period or whatnot, that could lead into a misstatement in your financial statements. So that's the gist of what a material weakness is. There are other ones, and such as where, like, if someone is able to, for instance, sign a check, record that check, and also, they're also deposit money. So it's like if there's a lack of segregation of duties, that could also result in a material weakness or significant deficiency.
Thank you.
Regarding revenue, is it fair to assume that some of that is revenue from bonds that the city has sold?
No, that's a good question because that is kind of confusing there. So I made sure that on that slide that you're looking at, 2 slides over, here we go.
39 million, yeah.
So no, well, first off, that's general fund, that's governmental fund expenditures. Any revenues that's recorded, there is below the total expenditures, there's a section called other sources and uses. it's called an other source item. It's not a revenue per se. And so when you look at this right here, like when you're showing this 10 years span, this is strictly like, this is not your bonds that you're selling each year.
Okay, thank you.
Nobody has any more questions? Then we can move to approve the resolution.
Move to approve Resolution 2026-13.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 2, discussion consideration ordinance 2026-9, the IPMC. Aisha Johnson.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. In March, Council decided to table the discussion to adopt the International Property Maintenance Code, otherwise known as IPMC, to ensure that residents can understand and discuss this proposal. And during that time, Mayor Singleton held a town hall meeting. We published a FAQ on the city's newsletter, and I also personally answered any questions that I got to my email about IPMC. The city has consistently identified property maintenance, neighborhood condition, and code enforcement as central to our long-term direction. Across every major planning platform effort, from the 2026-2020 comprehensive plans, the Journey to 2035, and the 2025 strategic plan, the message has been the same. The Jersey Village community values strong neighborhoods, protected property values, and high quality of life. These plans call for clear expectations, consistent enforcement, and a proactive approach that prevents small issues from becoming larger ones. Adopting the IPMC directly supports these goals. It does not create a new philosophy, and instead, it organizes standards we already use into one clear, nationally recognized framework focused solely on safety and habitability, not on aesthetics. Over the past month, we've heard from many residents who are opposed to adopting these minimum standards, and those voices are very important. But what always isn't visible are the conversations that happen quietly, weekly, with neighbors we speak to who are dealing with very real issues. These residents call us because the property next door hasn't been maintained, because the lawn hasn't been cut in months, or because junk is piling up in plain view. And many of them tell us that they're afraid to even file a complaint, worried about retaliation or damaging a relationship with their neighbors. These concerns don't show up on social media, but they are just as real. And they reflect what many families expect from their cities: basic, common sense standards that keep communities safe, clean, and livable. Our goal is to balance those needs, protecting the rights of individual property owners while still supporting the residents who simply want to feel comfortable and secure in their homes. Many of the issues addressed, such as overgrown vegetation, structural concerns, and pest issues, are already regulated in our existing ordinances. The IPMC simply puts them into one place, making the code easier for residents to understand and easier for staff to administer. Our community standards specialist works towards compliance and not citations. We make multiple attempts to contact property owners, such as letters, posted notices, and phone calls long before any citation is issued. And the results speak for themselves. More than 99% of cases are resolved without fines or court involvement at all. In the rare situations where a case escalates, it typically involves absentee owners and not engaged residents. I also want to directly address a few common concerns. The city does not conduct blanket investigations and inspections of homes, inside of homes, and inspectors cannot enter a property without permission or legal authority. The IPMC does not trigger home elevations, does not impose aesthetic rules, and does not turn the city into a HOA. Lastly, fines remain rare, with less than $1,000 collected over the last 2 years. Adopting the IPMC is not a new direction. It is continuation of the community has affirmed repeatedly. It provides clarity, consistency, and a better organized code while preserving the compliance-first, resident-focused approach that has served Jersey Village for years.
Thank you, Misha.
Hey, Maisha, I have a quick question. A lot of the concerns I think that we hear are, and I appreciate the compliance first goal of the city. The mayor's mentioned it. I think you've mentioned it several times. When it comes to enforcement, and we say nothing's materially changing, what in Section 105, which I think deals with most of the enforcement in the IPMC, is the city benefits the city versus if we did not adopt it?
So, well, prior to this week, Stephanie Gachette actually got her CEO. So she's a certified code enforcement officer now. So she can actually give citations. Again, we've had a code enforcement officer that could give citations. We really don't go that route. A lot of times, the first thing that we do is we give our courtesy notice. So either that's talking, that's phone calls, that's dropping a notice. The second thing is a formal letter. If that letter is not addressed, then it's the second letter that's a final notice. And a lot of times, even after that final notice, unless we just don't hear anything from a homeowner, that's the only time that we send it to court. But where the IPMC comes in is just because we send something to court does not mean that court takes it and prosecutes it. So our prosecutors ask us, where in your code does it specifically say that they cannot do this? Or, they're very specific. They don't take every single case that we get. And so IPMC makes it very black and white for whatever judge or prosecutor we have to understand exactly what we mean when we say these codes. These codes have been written probably over the past 30 years from different administrators, and this puts it all under one clear, easy to understand code.
But specifically with Section 105, that deals with the actual enforcement of it. In fact, we change 1.505. I think that was updated. Sorry, as I scroll through here. Notice about notices and orders is 105.5. I feel like I'm in a math test. Notices and orders. The code official may issue all necessary notices or orders to ensure compliance with this code. If we removed all of 105, including 105.5, would that severely alter our ability to enforce all the other changes in 105? And maybe Tommy or someone else can answer that too.
I believe Tommy changed that part so that it would go to our current way of enforcing.
Yeah, so the only change I had in 105 was changing a shall to a may, just because now this is just talking about technical authority to literally put a notice in the mail. But to me, it felt a little more appropriate. The code official may issue all necessary notices or orders, as opposed to the code official shall. I didn't want to give the impression that there wasn't discretion or latitude that should be given to, folks that are trying to work to bring something into compliance.
Okay, but
I'm reading through all of 105. I had a feeling certain sections would come up. I mean, much of what's in 105 is and I'm double checking this before I say it. Much of what's in 105 is just general law. For instance, warrants. What's in here is due process. If you're going to adopt a different rule, I would tell you you're not allowed to adopt a different rule. We could strike that section. It doesn't change anything whatsoever. Some of the stuff in here, I have a feeling that and it sounds like folks may be a little concerned about, for instance, I know there was some stuff brought up with alternative tests and reports and things like that, we can strike all that. You're not going to lose anything. What you will lose is flexibility, because that section authorizes the building official to look at an issue that comes, you can only deal with the standards and the technology that you have in front of you. And when you have new things come into play, they may equally meet the code. The code can't be updated fast enough. That gives the building official the discretion to say, this meets the spirit of it. So by taking that out, you would actually be reducing the flexibility. But if you want to strike 105, I don't think it really changes anything.
Yeah, my question is, if we're doing the same things today that we're doing, or doing the same things tomorrow that we do today, then I don't understand how that changes things. But thank you. I think,
and that's why I was reading through this, because there are things in here that are beyond, that go beyond what's in the city ordinances. But the one that goes beyond what's in the city ordinances is the thing that gives flexibility to the building official to allow an alternate method of compliance rather than strict compliance. So practically speaking, it's something you want because there will be a new latest and greatest way of doing something that may be able to comply, but it's just not technically in the code yet.
So there are times where things move forward, and this is allowing somebody, code says you're going to space your studs 12 inches because it needs to support the weight. But they come and say, my house isn't like that, but I still support the weight. This is a way of the code official being able to be flexible. And if there's a cost to that report, the resident would have to pay for that cost. But it gives the flexibility for that to exist in the first place.
Right.
A great example of that we use already is if someone has a diseased tree, they can cut that tree down, but then they still need to have 2 trees in the front yard. A lot of times people will tell us they can't afford 2 trees. We'll let them know when they can get one from the tree farm, and we'll just note that they're in compliance until that date. And then once that date hits, then we'll look at it again.
So it sounds like we're already incorporating flexibility.
That is the goal. The city's always looking for voluntary compliance.
Well, so one of the concerns that somebody came to me with was in regards to property rights. It's kind of a general term, but I guess...
Hey, guys, there's been several meetings where other people people up here can't hear, and I've had people in the crowd tell me they can't hear us because of murmurs. If we can try to keep that down, feel free to go outside, have a conversation, but let's try to have an efficient meeting for everyone.
So the concern is just property rights in general, and it could be the enforcement part that was being discussed. I can't remember specifically. There were a lot of discussions and a lot of emails, but one of the things that I found were property rights. I don't want to say that. If I can't afford to repair something that's really expensive, will the city come and cite me for it? Things like that. There's some concerns about that regarding this document. And I don't know. That's not really a question. More of just that was something that came up quite a bit.
But don't we already have that?
I was going to say, that doesn't sound like a problem that's different tomorrow.
Yeah, to me, that's something we already have. I mean, that's already we already have structures in place for that, for things like that. I don't think this makes that any different, nor do I think this makes the responses to those things any different.
Let me go back to the 105 question. I feel like I'm now near Conroe. There's a if we strike something and don't include it and we vote on it today, we can always come back and add it in the future.
Yes.
It's not harder to do. It's not. It just has to be done. Is that right?
That's right.
Yes. Susan actually made a comment about you adopt this, pilot program. How do you handle that? City has made code of ordinance changes in the past that went wrong, and they immediately reverted. The next council meeting, they've changed things and gone back. It is possible every council meeting, you publish an agenda, you change what you want. We can go back if there's an issue.
Then with that thought, I'm going to move that we make an amendment to this, should it pass, striking Section 105 and enforce it under current provisions.
I want to make sure I understand your motion there correctly. You're not yet moving to approve the ordinance. You're moving to strike Section 105 from the presented ordinance, and we will vote later after more discussion.
Correct.
Do you have a second for striking 105?
Could we take a... Can I ask a question? Never mind. I'd honestly like to vote on it as is before we start striking.
I agree.
Would that be something council would be open to making a vote on that? Or allowing me to make that motion, because you just made a motion. I don't know what order of operations you'd prefer, James.
He made a motion. You just asked to make a motion, and she offered a second when you make it. So if you want to make a motion to approve.
Well, I'll move to second Councilmember Watson's motion.
Okay. You were talking first. You made a motion.
I was asking, I wanted to make a motion to approve ordinance 2026-9 as stated in the agenda.
And I'll second.
Motion and a second to approve it as written without striking 105. There's a motion on the table. Those in favor of approving it as written, ayes 2 and nays 3. Motion does not pass. All right. Now, Councilmember Watson, you made a motion for 105. I assume your motion still stands. Councilmember Hughes is seconding that motion. Your second still stands. Yes. Okay. We have a motion to strike Section 105 from the proposed ordinance. All those in favor? There you go. Motion passes. Now, as we consider and continue to discuss or more proposals or motions, consider that Section 105 is not in the ordinance.
All right. I would like to make a motion to approve ordinance 2026-9 as amended.
I'll second that.
A motion and a second to approve ordinance 2026-9. All those in favor? All those against? Motion passes. We've gone to regular agenda item 3.
Can I say something really quick, please, about my rejection? I just want to make sure it's clear. For me, this isn't about rejecting good governance or saying this is a bad ordinance. I've read the ordinance, the amendments. I visited the IPMC link, read everything in there, and that was provided in the packet. I don't believe in some of the claims circulating online reflect the full picture. From what's presented, enforcement is compliance first. Inspectors don't enter homes without permission or proper legal authority, and this isn't intended to function like an HOA. That said, residents have raised legitimate questions about scope, clarity, and how this would be applied. Right now, there's a gap in trust. I have mentioned that before. The perception matters. If people believe this expands government authority in ways they don't understand or aren't comfortable with, we need to take that seriously. For me, this comes down to timing. I'm not comfortable with moving forward until those concerns are better addressed and residents have a clear understanding, and that might take a while. And I'm patient, willing to work with people. So that is why my vote isn't no to this entire concept. It's just based on where our community is right now. And I didn't say that. I had it ready. I just wanted to hear the conversation before we got to that.
Thank you. I would encourage anyone that still has any questions about it to contact Maisha Johnson, a council member. Happy to answer continued questions. And as we mentioned, if something needs to change, we can change it.
You mind if I make a comment? I do want to say, and I echo what Councilmember Rossi says, after the town hall that the mayor held, I emailed the city manager and I said, look, there's a lot of information here in the proposed IPMC as amended. We also, as a city, we've got four parts of the municipal code, chapters 14, 34, 42, and 66, that all impact inspection and enforcement and property owners' rights, duties, and obligations. And I suggested or offered myself to meet with the city attorney or city staff, meet with the BBOAA, because the 48-page, roughly, IPMC is pretty detailed. Taking out Section 105 makes sense to me, but it also makes more sense to me since we have these other provisions relating to enforcement throughout these other parts of the municipal code, it makes sense to me that it would be best to do it all in one comprehensive document, excluding any parts of the IPMC that are inapplicable. The city manager directed me to the city attorney, and unfortunately, because of other matters that he had on his plate, he got back to me only a few days ago, and so there wasn't an ample time to go through this. I still believe that from the importance consideration of a property owner's rights, and most importantly, that a property owner needs to have clear notice of what the city expects from the property owners, how the city can and will respond to the property owner for alleged noncompliance, and the process to address and remedies which may be invoked in response to an alleged noncompliance. I think that that's something that all property owners need to understand. And I will tell you that, when you have to look through this much of a municipal code, 48 pages of the IPMC, and everything else, it's daunting. And I believe that we can do better. I would welcome the opportunity to revisit this in the future, and I would reiterate my offer, whether it's the city staff or the city attorney or the BBOAA, to work with them to come up with a recodified and a more concise and workable and easily understood from the property owner's perspective set of rules and obligations. Thank you.
Moving on to regular agenda item G3, discussion and consideration ordinance 2026-10, amending the Jersey Meadow Golf Course Enterprise Fund budget for the fiscal year 2025 to 2026. Robert Bassford, Assistant City Manager.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Staff is requesting this net zero budget amendment to increase the revenue and the expense side of the enterprise fund for the golf course of $86,000 for the purpose of two projects. The first project is for $36,000 to purchase two additional orders of range balls as well as driving range mats, the mats that the golfers will hit off of. As Councilmember McCray mentioned earlier, we have seen double the traffic on the driving range, and we anticipated purchasing these in October. However, we're just very ahead of the schedule, so we were looking to purchase these mid-year as we approach golf season. The other project was for $50,000. It was to repurpose this old fire department generator that we have sitting behind City Hall. We would like to put that on a trailer and install a manual transfer switch on the golf course clubhouse, so that way in the loss of power we can power that building with the generator. We plan to utilize that building to feed our first responders during emergency activation, and in the event that we have issues with our local hotel, which we have had in the past, we can potentially house some of our first responders in the event they need a place to stay overnight. And this is our first responders, fire and PD, but also our essential personnel that come in to operate our lift stations, water plants, sewer plants during cyclones or any other critical weather events. So this would be a net zero budget amendment. The golf course is on pace to exceed revenue by a lot more than $86,000. So we do not see any issues in this budget amendment, and we will see an ROI of the driving range mats within a month.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I see the capital improvement is $50,000. I guess that's the generator and the generator installation. And then the range balls and mats are $36,000 to go from 27 to 63, and that's going to probably be an annual expense. Do we think?
Yeah, typically we do budget them annually. We just need to get this order sooner rather than later because we haven't even hit golf season yet, and we're already double our activity. Golf season technically starts when the Masters starts, which was earlier this month. So we're hitting peak season right now, and with the evening range hours, we're doing great.
Yeah, I guess my suggestion is that for FY27, we're already talking about FY27, that we would make it, I guess, start at 63K as opposed to the 27K then?
Yes, yep.
As long as that L keeps on going up, I guess we're okay.
I was wanting to ask if you guys have considered at all doing some type of program if kids want to return range balls that they find along Rio Grande and everywhere. When I tell you there's a lot. And I'm just saying an exchange program might be a good idea to collect some of those, maybe lose a few less. I'm just saying kids will do a lot for a soda or a bucket of range balls themselves.
Yeah, I can challenge the staff. We have discussed range ball attrition. We lose about 7%. Unfortunately, these are distance limited range balls, and only Callaway makes them. So a lot of people think that, this is a nice ball, I can use this on the golf course when I play. So we do lose a significant amount, but yes, a decent amount of them find their way into the bayou. So we will. I'll challenge Matt and the staff to come up with some type of creative program for range ball.
Punch card.
I'm saying.
I know that there's a few hundred somewhere just north of there that kids love picking those off of the bayou and showing off their fancy colored ball that you could probably get them back.
I'll make a motion to approve 2026-10.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor? Motion passes. Moving on to item G4, discussion and consideration of ordinance 2026-11, requesting the CCPD. I think that is on 2 pages. Approving the request from the CCCP board to amend the 2025 Crime Control Prevention District in the amount of $247,969. Chief Keel.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This item is a follow-up to the CCPD meeting held earlier this evening, where the board approved a budget amendment requested for the implementation of a new computer-aided dispatch and records management system. As discussed, the system is the operational backbone of the police department and is critical to dispatching, reporting, and overall data management. The request is based on identified operational inefficiencies with our current system and the recommendation for a department-wide evaluation committee. After reviewing multiple vendors and visiting agencies currently using the system, Mark 43 was identified as the best fit for our operational needs. The requested amount of $247,969 reflects the first-year cost, which includes implementation, data conversion, training, and first year of services. This does include a one-time overlap cost as we transition from our current system. Following the implementation, the annual cost of the new system is significantly lower, resulting in long-term savings to the city. Also here tonight is Steve and Shelby with Mark 43, if there's any product or technical related questions that council may have. And I'm also happy to answer any questions.
Question for you, Chief. I noticed that the savings over a 5-year period with the new system, it's about $581,000 versus leaving the old system in place would have cost us $825,000. My question is, and obviously it seems like the right thing to do, but at the end of the 5-year period, prospectively, as the contract renews, would you anticipate that the annual fee would be about the same, or would there be any additional fees over the second year 6 through 10, basically?
From all the research that I've done so far and the conversations that we've had, we see it's typically a 5% increase year over year. And so that's kind of what that structured is in place there. But Steve may be able to answer more of that question.
Okay, thank you.
Side of it.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Stephen Sade. Pleasure to meet you. Yes, we actually assign an account manager after the fact, so when we get done with our things this evening, we have a full team that comes in and does all that. But to answer your question, sir, about years 6 through 10, they would just start the renegotiation, I believe, around year 4 is when they started, but it would just go up with the same increments. We do have some agencies that do sign up for another 5-year option as well. So there are options, and we are flexible, sir. Thank you.
I had a question as far as this system. Is this one that will, for lack of whatever the correct terminology is, like grow as time goes on? Like will it keep up essentially, or are we? It sounds like to me we wouldn't be looking at another replacement in 5 years. Is that correct, or is that?
Correct. We're very flexible, very scalable to meet your needs in any agency. So we have agencies with 5 sworn up to over 5,000 sworn using the same system.
We're not still on crimes, right? What are we currently on?
We're currently on a Tyler system.
Just confirming sales tax, this is coming from sales tax revenue.
Correct. It'll come out of CCPD.
I've actually never heard of Mark 34. Or is it 34 or 43? 43, yes, sorry. Sir. Never heard of Mark 43, and did a little bit of research this afternoon, and looks like a good product. I'm pretty happy with this. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve ordinance 2026-11.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Motion passes. Moving on to regular agenda item 5, discussion and consideration ordinance number 2026-12, amending the fiscal year 2025-2026 budget for the capital improvements. Finance Director Jennifer Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. Earlier this month, we announced that the city had received a grant from the Texas Department of Emergency Management to provide generators for 2 of our lift stations. The total project cost is $256,518, with the city contributing 25%, or $64,129.50, and the federal share is 75%, or $192,388.50. We are planning to fund the city share through a transfer from the utility fund to the capital improvement fund, and then the grant revenues would come into the capital improvement fund. Before we put out the document for the invitation to bid, we wanted to go ahead and amend the budget to appropriate the funds so that when we do receive the bids, we would have that budget in place when we bring back the award of the contract for you. The budget is a net increase of $64,129.50 in the utility fund, and in the capital improvements fund, it is a net zero, with a total increase in revenues and expenditures of $256,518. Staff is recommending approval of ordinance number 2026-12.
Sorry, Connie. Or go ahead.
So basically, we're just moving funds to cover the city's share.
Yes, right. And appropriating to spend the grant funds.
I congratulate the city on receiving these. I think it's necessary. I also ponder that my last official vote and Councilmember Craze is to move what lift stations move. But honestly, we would look at buying these generators whether or not we receive the grant anyway, right? So we just get a giant coupon from the state effectively. Okay.
Correct. Yeah, in the past when we haven't had these, we've had to use services to come pump out the lift stations. So I think between Hurricane Barrel and the derecho, it was 20 some odd thousand. I don't remember the exact number right offhand, but 2 or 3 events of those natures, and this pays for itself.
Thank you.
And a couple questions too. Are we going out for bid for the generators as well?
Yeah, we're working in the bid packet right now and expect that to be out later this month.
Advertising based on specs?
Right, we'll advertise based on the specs that we need to power the 2 lift stations.
For a bid for a generator, do you do this, is it sort of the same way you would any other contract? Like, do you put it on CivCast, that kind of thing, or is it something else special because it's such a niche?
We'll put it out on BidNet Direct. I've looked out there. They do have over 500 different generator companies that are already registered on there, and we also have local ones that will make aware of the opportunity as well. We'll advertise in the Chronicle and the Houston Business Journal.
Well, congratulations again.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it. Another situation where we're spending $60,000 and grants are funding $260,000. So I appreciate your hard work.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 2026-12.
I will second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor? Motion passes. Moving on to item regular agenda 6, discussion and possible action regarding council to staff communication protocols and workload considerations. Councilmember Drew Wasson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Last September, council had a retreat, and we met with facilitator Ron Cox, and we went over expectations that we had of each other, expectations that we'd have with staff. Staff spoke about expectations they had of council and also expectations they may have of staff. And I thought it was important to not only review that, and after, as 2 council members are on our way out, and we'll have 2 more come in, I think it's important that we reflect on the role and that relationship at this point. There's some other things in this, and I'll get to that. The amount of work that council expects from staff on behalf of council, our right to serve as provide overview and oversight of council, but also staff's right to be efficient and effective with their time. We spend a lot of money on staff, and we want them to be as effective and efficient as possible. In the agenda item, I'll note that I list about emails, but this is not about emails. It's not about email volume. I think those are actually inflated, not real counts that get sent. There are a number of recipients on there. But whatever, the point is, I just want to make sure that we abide by the frameworks that we set and spent a lot of time setting last September, that we have a good discussion on any things we may need to change, if we need to structure anything more formally. I know that there's a staff council retreat coming up in May, and perhaps these are ideas that can be taken into that. but also wanted to leverage Councilmember McRae's and my knowledge of being council members, and maybe we can help input on that. And then I'm not suggesting necessarily any solutions, although I'm open to anything, but I want to kind of diagnose if there are problems, are things that we need to consider, and any next steps we may need to take. Again, we have the right to oversight. Council has the right to be efficient. How do we make sure there's a fair balance in all of that? And I think it's fair to mention the triggering mechanism was when I was seeing the back and forth about grants. I saw something where Austin had mentioned he spent an hour and a half doing something, and then if he did it 2 more times, it would be 4.5 hours. And I thought, that's 10% of somebody's week. Yeah. And if you multiply that over just a handful of weeks, that's a lot of time spent on something. And I know Austin, and maybe there's benefit to all of us in him doing that, and we have to weigh the pros and cons of that. But just wanted to make sure that we're using precious time wisely.
I'll jump in. I'll speak also on, I guess, the whole purpose of why we were elected. Craig said it beautifully. We're elected to give direction to the city, and they implement it in the fine details. And we did have a little bit of a learning curve, and which is understandable. I mean, we didn't go to school to be city council people. This is a volunteer situation, so there's understandably a learning curve that comes along with this. And we, had our initial training, and then there was not a little bit of alignment on some priorities and use of time. So then we had a special weekend at the golf course with Ron Cox, where we were really learning our roles and responsibilities and the hierarchy and all that good stuff. So I feel like we did try to manage this internally. It just, unfortunately, it hasn't been successful thus far. And it's confusing to me, the amount of time that's spent. Like, I don't mind Austin spending 4 hours on something, as long as it's the priorities of what we set forth in this city. And I was elected to protect y'all's priorities and our goals and the comprehensive goals, not to backtrack on micromanaging things that have already occurred. And so in the integrity of the city, I have to sit up here and say, at what point, okay, we try to do some internal training, we try to do some education, and it's not really sticking. So at what point can we protect the integrity of Jersey Village? Because we are a well-rounded machine. Our city is thriving, and so I just want to make sure that we can protect the movement forward on the things that really do matter to the citizens, and make sure that everybody is doing what they should do and what we're elected to do.
I think something that might help for everyone and for future councils for all of this is for there to make sure that everyone is getting a consistent onboarding procedure. I know that my onboarding with city staff was different than other council members, and I do think that when there's a lot of variance there, that you might get a different outcome. So I do think that is something that could be improved upon, is making sure that everybody gets the same type of onboarding experience so that everyone understands has the same expectations and the same understandings. That would be one of my a suggestion for you, Drew, as far as like a conversation, like a discussion. I do think that would be something that is helpful.
And I do feel like we had a very cohesive and well-trained neutral third party come out, and he sat down, and we all got a private call with Ron, and he spoke to us. I don't know how long y'all's were, but mine was a significant amount of time, and then we met, and then he did a follow-up with us. So I feel like we did get a cohesive training as a group. Do you agree with that? From Ron?
You mean from the Ron Cox as far as the information? I mean, yeah, I think it was pretty, I felt like everybody left with the same, like, I guess, ideas.
You were referring more to, like, how to be a council member type training.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So it's like, I know the experience for me when I onboarded, because I think you joined me for part of the tour I got a day where I came in, I met with, I went around to all the different departments and met with different department heads, toured police and fire, and then met one-on-one with Austin and our then city attorney to discuss like the city hierarchy and the expectations of communication, and conversations about, even though I'd already done my Open Meetings Act training, but conversations that go further with that, and definitions of quorum and walking quorum and things like that. So and I felt that was highly beneficial, but I also know that not everybody up here has had that same experience. So I do think that is an important thing to make sure that is, whether or not be exactly what I experienced, but some variation of that is considered the tone set for everyone moving forward.
Were you able to attend the TML training as well?
Yes, I did the TML. It was either TML or HGAC. I don't recall which one it was. But it was in Houston, and it was 1 or 2 days, and it was highly informative as well. I feel like it was required. Is that not required anymore?
It was never required.
Apparently I volunteered.
TML was highly encouraged when you and I were on here the first time. I've been to TML. It was good. I've been to HGAC. It was really good.
So I think I may have gone to HGAC because that is where...
Did you get a hotel?
Did I get a hotel? No.
Then it wasn't TML. It was HGAC.
It was HGAC. It was in Houston. It was interesting because also it was the new mayor, Tom Ball, was there. It was all people from around our area, and like you learned a lot of these people. You learned about how stuff is in Pearland and all the different cities, and it's very interesting because not only are you learning from the people, like from the experts from the state that are there and experts within their fields, but you're also getting to talk to some other people that are in the same position as you, and that was highly beneficial.
It's labeled a new council member meeting, but actually anybody can go. I ran into somebody when I became mayor more to meet people at HGAC, and ran into some people that were there for their third year, just because why not?
Yeah, I didn't realize it was like a hangout, but it was.
But it was very informative.
But it was very informative, especially like the conversations about finance and how that works with cities. It's stuff that's informative. A lot of it to me was the questions you don't think to ask because you don't know you need to ask them, because you don't know, because there is so much to this that is not what people see coming to these meetings, or people don't see posted on social media. The actual real work that goes on, you learn there. And what I think is much more important is learning those things and what we really are doing up here. Also, I don't believe that Bobby Warren only sent 15 emails.
Okay, we've heard some comments. There are some proposed discussion points in here. They're one that we want to pick up. Should we consider a protocol or framework for council staff requests so that there's balance and oversight? There's several items here. If anybody would like to talk about any of them.
I think this is hard. This is really hard because it comes down to where do you draw the line and what's acceptable and what's not. Council has a right to ask any question they want, but we don't have the right to monopolize time. And so that's hard. Like, where do you decide who gets to make that decision? And I understand that's the whole point of this conversation, but I also don't think that there's a very simple solution or like a hard line for something like that, because there's things we've gotten into that have taken considerable more discussion than something as simple as, hey, there's a light pole in the middle of a ramp. That doesn't take 25 emails, but there's some other stuff does. Mm-hmm. However, I do think at some point in time, If council as a whole feels like a conversation has run its course or has gotten out of hand, that there needs to be some type of way for other council to step in and say this conversation needs to end or it needs to be taken offline, like go have an in-person meeting or something. I do think that would be a smart move. But I also think I don't see how that could happen without a violation of open meetings. Unless you know what I mean? Like because a lot of this came from everything is reply all, which I also understand and I would appreciate, because if Austin doesn't hit reply all, we never know. Like we would never know these conversations exist. But, but then that means that I can't hit reply all. But then I could hit reply and delete everybody but 2 people off the email list. But then I'm starting a side conversation. Like it becomes this animal of exhaustion. I don't even know how else to describe it. But so I don't know what the answer is.
So Tommy has a lot of experience and might have some suggestions on options that he's seen other cities do. If you had a comment, but I was looking this way and didn't see you.
You want me to go? You want to go? Well, I believe in checks and balances, and that's what we're up here for. And of course, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes and emails that are back and forth, like Jen was saying. And it's really hard to abide by all the ins and outs. And then it's just having, valued use of time. And though I don't want to ever appear that I'm silencing a voice, I think you can ask as many questions as you'd like to ask, but there is a dance between, are you just, is there an abuse of power situation, and what does that look like for us up here? And it is very difficult to even have that discussion. And so I just know from my seat that there has been trainings, there's been talks, there's been retrainings, there's been neutral third parties, and we're to the point where it just hasn't really stuck. And to protect the integrity of Jersey Village and how council operates, I would just like to make a proposal that if somebody is not in line with it, that we could vote that those discussions are only at any questions are on the dais in front of everybody, instead of a crazy amount of emails, just to really put the priorities where they need to be about things at hand and put to bed the hours and hours of things that are not really on the top of our priority list to bed. I don't really know if that's even something that we're allowed to do for checks and balances, but that's what I would propose. That's literally the only solution I could come up with.
Yeah, city sets policy on, city council sets its own policy for council staff interactions. City council sets policy, city council sets the duties of the city manager. So how you respond to questions, that all of that is pretty much, in terms of what it looks like whatever you want it to look like. That's your job determining it. I'm trying to think of one offhand that well, there's a number of cities that have, they just have different policies, and it's always based on the structure of the city. But yeah, that's what's the issue you're trying to solve? What's the process that's going to solve it? That's where I would start. It's pretty. I'd love to give you more direction, but it really is. It's as wide open as you think.
Do you see where you wrote on here in desired outcome? One of the ideas is a directive to the city manager to propose a framework.
That was me. Sorry. The irony is not lost.
I think that's pretty funny. But no, would something like that be more helpful for them to come up with an idea? Because who this affects is city staff, right? Would it be more helpful for them to come up with something as like a suggestion, or is this something that needs to be council 100%?
It may be me. Is council comfortable with the definition of the problem?
My definition is I mean, it's twofold. It's oversight, balancing the right to oversight and the right for staff to be efficient and effective with their time. And I for one of my ideas, and I don't know it, and it's possible depending on the requests, is it possible for council to be allowed to do more self-service? That said, some things you can't just go and look for a document, because documents can be all over the place, not because we're unorganized, but because you may miss something, one. Two, some documents, and I say documents for lack of a better term, some information requires context. Like, what was the situation around then? What was the historical settings? What were this? And you have to get that knowledge from staff in order to color that. So I worry that although for some things, like looking what happened in 2019 at a certain council meeting, what that ordinance did, whatever, that can be self-service because it's on the web and we have the same access that all the citizens do. But something deeper may not be, like how this does this, or how many lift stations do we have running at 80% capacity and things like that.
Is everyone that comes up here has a little bit different flavor of how they like to do it, but I do remember sitting on that side, a lot of the self-reliance, if I wanted to change an ordinance or when I was trying to convince Greg to pass chickens, I drafted all of that. I wrote all of that, did all of the legwork myself because I worked with other elected officials that they have staff like Peyton that's what they do. And it's a function of the office of that elected to do that work. And then you come to the meeting and propose, I want to do this ordinance, or, I didn't like the way that we approved the no parking. I want it another 500 feet. You did the work to do that, and so that was very different to put that onto staff.
Well, I'll weigh in a little bit here. My experience, you had mentioned being new. I sort of had a similar onboarding, and there could be some assumptions that I understood some governance because of my background. And it took me a while to take the mud hat off and put this council hat on. So I think there could be some of that. But I meet with Austin. I actually sit down with Austin every month. And I would say those meetings maybe an hour and a half to get those questions answered that you're talking about, where it would be something that I couldn't find on my own. So that is also a suggestion. I'm not saying everybody should do it, but it's really, really helpful to get that other side of it. And so I don't know who else sits down with him, but I do actually sit down with him. And it makes it then a little easier if I have follow-up questions to just, pick up the phone and have a 5-minute conversation. So there's that.
I also do that. It's very, very helpful. I mean, Austin's very helpful, and I feel he has so much retention of knowledge. I don't know how he remembers everything off the top of his head like he does. But, he's very easy to talk to in the meetings. I spend about an hour and a half, sometimes 2 if I'm yapping. But my concern is less of the learning curve of the back and forth of new, but after we're done with the learning curve and there seems to be some, maybe we're not really doing our specific role and we've veered into another outside reach and we've been educated in that, now we're going outside again. At what point do us as council have the obligation to protect the integrity of how this council works? And that's the part where I'm sitting at. I mean, as unfun as it is to say, it's just part of it. So That's where I'm sitting with my. It's someone's bedtime now. That's where I'm sitting with really prioritizing the city staff and response is really checks and balances. If somebody is not adhering to the training we've received, then what do we do then? And my only solution is for that person to get maybe the direction from council that if you have a question, instead of email, it is now on the dais in front of us, and those requests are now made up here, and they're answered. So your voice isn't silenced. You can answer everything that you need to, but it's up here instead of this excessive back and forth and unnecessariness. That's my suggestion.
I think we've talked about that a little bit. There's a question here: would staff benefit from more structured intake process for complex information requests? Does Austin or council feel like we need to start producing something like that? Do we want to wait a little bit, see how things go, and revisit? Where are we at?
Is that to council? I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yep, council or Austin. And
what was the question?
one of the questions is, would staff benefit from a more structured intake process for complex information requests?
I think that needs to be a question for Austin, right?
I'll point out that I'm not the only staff that reports to council, but I do have a microphone, so does she.
We should all be copying you on any request, so I kind of thought any request.
Yeah, since when are we supposed to go directly to staff?
No. Courtney, your city secretary. That's
True.
The other person. You're never supposed to go directly to staff.
True.
That's
city manager, the city secretary, the city attorney, and the municipal court administrator, and the municipal judge.
So I think the email structure works for an intake process. I don't know that we need to reinvent the wheel for an intake process.
Well, you knocked something off the list. Will council reaffirm the September 2025 staff engagement framework as active standing council policy? Drew, you want to remind us a little bit about that?
Sure. In last September, in our workshop with Ron Cox, we went over, and as a council, we agreed, amongst other things, but the 5 points were: follow and respect the hierarchy. So flow information to staff, not affiliated with who James just mentioned. Most of them would flow through the city manager. Some things would go to the city secretary. Council should not make sudden changes, but recognize priorities will change with council change in council makeup. So I think we had a situation last year, maybe the year prior, where from one meeting to the next, we kept on changing our mind, and that resulted in a lot of wasted staff time, quite frankly. Have empathy towards staff and recognize their importance to the organization. Council will provide clarity of decisions to staff and council will respect the staff and the jobs they do. And those were overall our commitment overall to staff. So I want to make sure that one of the questions I laid out there is, are we still committed to that framework overall? And secondly, do we think we're abiding by that? And does staff think we're abiding by that? And maybe these get discussed in May, but I think we can discuss them now too.
Yes. I think we all agreed after our retreat that we were unified on those 5 points, and then when we had our follow-up, I feel like we were all unified once more on those. So I do think I could say, yes, I agree. Those are great. Those are great 5 points, and I think that they definitely should be part of the oath we take to represent the citizens up here.
I don't think there's anything wrong with those statements, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, those 5 statements that were decided on last year.
I'd like to think I try to abide by them. I mean, and I've been, think on day 0 of becoming a council member, sitting in Austin's office during orientation, he was like, please make sure I'm copied, and I'd prefer you go directly through me to.
Austin, did we renew? I remember it came here, and I don't remember the outcome. Did we renew with Ron Cox for next year?
Or, he's retiring. We've got a different one.
We did renew.
Corey, coming up in May. I don't remember the exact date, but a Saturday in May.
Okay.
Is it the Saturday before Memorial Day?
I think we can all agree that these are great principles. I think the tricky part is what happens when one of us is not following these principles and we get retrained and we're still not doing that. Where's the oversight and where's the checks and balances? And literally my only solution I can come up with, like I said, is then that council member's requests are now to be at the dais in public, and we're all voted on the time that's spent on those topics. And that's really all I can see for checks and balances and oversight on solving that problem. I'm not sure if anybody agrees or I have to make a motion or what I have to do. If this is brand new to me, this whole topic of trying to remediate this. I mean, I've sat on this for a while and molded over in my head of who, what, when, where, why. I know that there's been a lot of time and effort on retraining and really trying to do things organically with neutral third parties. It just unfortunately hasn't taken. So this is where I'm at now. And more than anything, I love this city and I want to protect it. And so it comes from just a place of that, and I hope that is seen.
I will add to that each of us collectively, we are a team of counselors, but our checks and balance, whereas we check and balance the staff and output of that, our main check and balance are the voters. And it's up to the voters to check and balance us as that, and they have the right and obligation to hold us accountable while we're in office as well as on election day. So I leave some of that to them and their responsibility, but I think overall, if that's a position that saving all requests till a council meeting, I think that can make a slow process of government even slower, but that's just my opinion. But I think it's something, right? It's an idea.
I'm not saying every council member. I'm just saying if there is something that's not aligning, that specific council member. I'm not saying that emails would stop completely. And I hear what you're saying, that it is up to our citizens to elect us, but that's in 2 years. So that's a lot of weeks, a lot of hours, a lot of months of no ability to do. Like, we see so much in and out, up here, that it would be an injustice for us to say, well, we're just going to have to wait for 2 years for everybody to help us vote differently because of this. That doesn't feel like I'm protecting the integrity of what we're doing up here. I mean, there's got to be something that happens in the interim on the month to month. That's 2 years is a long time. But I agree. I agree that elections are very important. But
I want to ask to reframe just one part of that.
Sure.
when we talked about definition of problem, I did not feel like anybody was. We're talking about council and staff relations, not trying to change any votes. People, we're definitely talking about you vote how you feel obligated to vote. It is more about how you work as a team with each other and staff. So here, we talked about we're going to reaffirm that framework. We talked about some possible accountability. I am very hopeful that we're not there. I think this is a start of a discussion, not the seek to end the discussion. This last question, are there any categories or requests that should be addressed through a regular reporting mechanism rather than ad hoc communication? Does anybody have any specific that they're wanting to add? I don't think so, but
I was just going to say, I recognize where you're coming from, Michelle, and I get it. I do truly understand that, but I don't know that you can actually do anything. I don't think the charter allows for you to do anything. There's no such thing as congressional censure in the Jersey Village City Council that I'm aware of. I don't know that there really is something what you're looking for, because it sounds like what you're looking for is you're looking for some type of action. There's something that can be done when you feel like somebody's gone off the rails or monopolizing time or abusing power and things like that. And I get that. I just don't know what recourse, if any, there would even be. And I'm not that's not something I would have to ask the city attorney. I have no idea.
He mentioned there's kind of wide open.
Said that was
one of the things I've seen cities do is city staff, those 5 people, report to the body, not a person. And I've seen bodies, not a censure, but say, you don't need to worry about this subject matter or this number of emails, or we're going to have you address all these things here. There is a wide open space in how the body can direct a staff member to act. That's your options.
So if somebody feels like things have gone, like you said, if things have gotten to a point where it needs to be addressed, I guess then what is it? It would take a council member to suggest it to you or to another city council member, and then it would have to go on the agenda, right?
It starts like this.
It would start like this, then it would become an agenda item, like our normal stuff, right?
They would have to draft something and submit it.
And then it would have to be a conversation in a council meeting. Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
I wanted to hop on the reporting, and I think if there's something that we regularly contact, and council would regularly contact staff about, an idea was that it just becomes part of the city manager's report. I think we've seen that. Quite frankly, I want to take the time real quick because I missed this during the city manager report. I saw a change in reporting at the municipal court level. That's a new report there. So I want to thank the team for providing that. So those types of things, I think, one, there's enough instinct in staff that you know to anticipate, and you can do that. But I'd say if we're, as a group, as an individual, or ad hoc, coming to staff with the same question month after month or every other month, proactively or reactively put that in as a report, as a constant report, and that can alleviate some time. That was proposed discussion point 5.
Okay. I've seen that city manager report change. It is nowhere near the same animal it was when I started. It is completely different in the information Holton House presented. So that is absolutely one of the ways you can handle this. My proposal is that we have all said that we're reaffirming this continued staff engagement framework. We do have a scheduled meeting in May, and that we continue to consider this as we move forward. I don't think there is a specific action that anybody intended to have tonight. I could be wrong, but I don't think there was. Does anyone have any other comments?
I think the city manager report, I kind of piggyback on what you said about the city manager report for sure. Has a lot of information in there.
Okay, well, I look forward to abiding by our 5 principles, and it's nice to know that we can have some oversight if we do choose. And so I know we have two new crew coming in next month, and so we can, I guess, I don't really know. I mean, I get about the city manager's report for the questions, but not for the other component that seems to be a problem. But I'm happy to wait for the training in May one more time, and if things don't improve, then have a harder conversation after that.
Well, I think we've allowed sufficient time for comments. I'm going to move on to mayor and council comments. I think last time, start with Michelle. Councilmember Martin.
Well, I will say this is so sad for me because when I first joined City Council, day one, Drew met me at Little Kitchen and answered every question I had for I don't even know how many hours. And he was my little mini mentor. Let me, go to his house and ask any questions, take any notes, learn all the acronyms. And he was really, really, really helpful. And then after I had my feet wet for, is that the right phrase? I'm not sure. 2 years-ish, I can't remember. Jen came on next, and I said, let me just tell you everything that Drew taught me. And then all the little holes that I feel like I've learned along the way. And so I'm really sad to see 2 of my good friends that won't be up here with me every month. But I'm really, really honored to work alongside both of you. You've been great at bouncing ideas off each other. We don't always agree. So many times we don't. But we've always been respectful and friendly. And hang out outside of here. Our kids love each other. I love you guys, and thank you for your service. I know it takes a lot of time and mental energy, and I really do. You guys have been great up here.
Councilmember Hughes.
Just want to thank everybody who came out to listen to council, who viewed the council meeting on video, and who participated by making public comments. With respect to one of the agenda items, the IPMC, it kind of really throws a wrinkle in it in that the code was adopted with Section 105 deleted, and I'm committed to you, the residents, to evaluate what that means to you, the residents, and I reiterate my commitment or offer rather to the city attorney and the BBOAA to the extent that it needs to be revisited or clarified with the other sections in the municipal code to make sense so that residents have a clear understanding of their property rights. I'm happy to work towards that. Apart from that, I think that's it. Thank you.
Councilmember Watson.
I want to remind everyone that there is early voting going on. I think the early voting goes on 8 to 5. So if you're coming in after work on a weekday, that could be tough, but I think it's open on the weekend. I don't have the hours in front of me. I apologize. Jersey Village just celebrated our 70th birthday, and Texas celebrates 190 years tomorrow. So tomorrow is San Jacinto Day. So that's on my plate. Thank you.
Can I just add, since we're talking about the voting hours, that there is no voting tomorrow due to San Jacinto Day. We are here 8 to 5, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 7 to 7 on Saturday, 7 to 7 Monday and Tuesday, and then 7 to 7 on Election Day.
So you're closed on Sunday as well?
Closed on Sunday.
Just like Chick-fil-A and Hobby Lobby?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rossi?
Well, name's right. Congratulations to Officer Moore Garcia and the nominees for the Police Department Employee of the 2026 First Quarter Award. I'd like to thank the Office of Congressman Wesley Hunt. Parks and Rec did a great job at Founders Day. Everyone I spoke to had nice things to say. They enjoyed themselves. Police and Fire had an open house that looked successful, even though the weather was a little shaky. So thank you guys for that. And thank you, staff, for the reports and for all the work you do putting the packet together. I wanted to piggyback off the early voting. I just encourage everyone to take a little time to get informed, ask the questions, look at the different perspectives, and really get to know your candidates. There's a lot of information out there. So I'm not going to. You have tomorrow. We're closed for voting, but the hours are on the JV page, I think, Facebook page. Also, it was a great pleasure working with Jen and Drew. You were both very welcoming to me coming up here, even though we don't always agree. But I just wanted to also thank you for your service. You've done so. You've given up your time and appreciate your service. Thank you.
I did not have comments just yet. I do greatly appreciate both your work and look forward to talking about that next meeting. It has been a joy. I do appreciate y'all's friendship very much. I did.
Who, me?
That's how much I appreciate your friendship. Yeah. And she's looking at me, and I'm like, why is she looking at me? I'm not getting this. Councilwoman McCray, would you like to speak?
I just wanted to say thank you to all the residents that came out tonight with questions and things they wanted to say and making their statements. I think that's very important, is being involved in your government. Also, especially a shout out to Ashley Young and also to Mike O'Kelly for their statements. I truly appreciated that. And yes, tomorrow is San Jacinto Day. So, that is very important for those of us that live here, which is all of us. And last thing I just wanted to say is good luck to all the students tomorrow taking the algebra end of course exam for the state of Texas, and also to those taking Math STAR. Good luck. You can do this. They better be asleep at my house, but yes.
So sorry. I want to thank everyone that came out tonight. Appreciate all of the engagement. There was plenty, and we do appreciate everybody that comes out. Thank you to everybody who sent me an email or picked up the phone. Those messages get read, we discuss, it makes change. You saw it. It shapes the work that we do here. A couple specific thanks to Finance Director Jennifer Brown for catching and remediating the state coding issue. The roughly $1.4 million returned with no penalty and interest. It was diligent, excellent work that we would normally have discussed tonight, but it was brought up last month. So to the City Manager Austin Blease, who was recently recognized as the local government champion for the South by Local Government 250 in the National Academy of Public Administration. Look forward to you being honored at the ICMA conference. Appreciate the Fire Department, Police Department's open house that was on Saturday. Turnout was fair. I'm really thankful for the people that came out. And congratulations to Amy Torres on her permanent appointment tonight as Municipal Court Clerk. Reminder tomorrow that here we will have at 6:30 the Seattle-Singapore Reconstruction Project Town Hall. And then I want to comment earlier. Earlier, I spoke with conviction on a point that I believe in, and I meant every word of it. The values behind that statement are non-negotiable, and this is a welcoming city, and I intend to keep it that way. Good night.